you know something's going to happen. You see everybody's starting to panic, security, and you're like, okay, something's going to happen here. So the next thing they've all jumped, the security's jumped in this black suit Jeep or van or whatever it is, and they've just screeched away to the front. You're thinking, fucking, he's coming out the front door, you know, out the back door. The last photograph of Amy taken in Glasgow. So basically, she was arriving, so we were at the front door. This would have been, I don't know when she died, 2011. So this would have been about 2008, so it was a few years before. And she was at the Barrowland, and then I remember the car coming towards me, a big Jeep. Liam was in it, Noel was in it. And it's kind of, and I'm thinking, fuck, I'm just going to dive on the car. So obviously when the papers finished in 2011, I first seen it on Sky News. And it was like, fucking, what's going on here? You know,
that's a huge story.
So you lost your job, but not only that, a lot of decent people lost their job. You know, and certainly there's a lot of people down south who deserve to go. But up here it was like the photographers and the printers, and there's a lot of decent people, a lot of scumbags. You know, but there was a lot of decent folk lost their jobs. So I had to take him out of the Gorbals, where he murdered Jimmy Boyle's son. So that was the first set of pictures. Take him to the Gorbals, and he's there posing, thrashed, loving it. You know, this is where I, you know, chipped Boyle. You know.
So welcome to Social Sessions. Today we've got Brian Anderson, and I think this could be one of the best stories that we may have told. Brian,
checks in the post, John.
So I'm going to just start, obviously, where you were. So Black Hill.
Aye, it's always been East End. Originally, families for Black Hill. My mum and dad died in Acre Hill Street. And then the grandparents, Black Hill, they were in Drumpelia Street. I was kind of brought up with my grandparents, you know. My dad, he was in and out of jail, really, you know, and that was one of the main reasons why I get brought up with my grandparents. So Black Hill, Black Hill, when I was really kind of young, up until maybe 12 or something. And then other parts of the East End, you know, Ricasey, Easterhouse, family like nomads.
On a mad squad.
Nomads moved about. I think back then, that's what they done. They kind of moved about, you know, different areas and stuff. Probably to get away from all the debtors, wasn't it, back in the day, wasn't it? I can imagine.
Do you know what? But there was a sense of community, I think, that that's not there anymore. Like, and you go into the schemes, do you know what I mean? There was always, like, people were ready to help each other, a bit of milk, whatever, sugar, coffee, whatever.
I remember all that, to sing songs at parties, and you know, all the neighbours all coming in, you know, New Year, you're right, just everybody just going. Nobody had anything back
First
in the
days. And that, remember?
People didn't have any money, and it was, you're right, it was just, people were a lot closer back then, communities, and helped each other, looked out for each other. That's definitely my memory as well, yeah.
So, obviously, like, we know you went into photography. What kind of interested you first to go into photography? What was it?
Do you know, I can trace it back, it's funny, I can trace it back to when we stayed in Stepford Place, which was, I went to Westwood. I don't know you remember Westwood.
No.
That was in Easterhouse. So that was about 1982. And I remember picking up this book in the library, and it was like a book about infamous crimes and criminals. It was like Myra Hindley. Hindley and who was the other one?
Serial killer type.
All the serial killers and the craze.
And
I thought, fucking hell, what's that? You know, and looked at the, you know, looked into that, the craze, and the famous picture was taken with David Bailey. So there must have been that connection back there. Growing up, everybody was into crime. Like,
I know,
it's still the same, isn't it? With, you know, Netflix and
sales, didn't it? Crime sales.
So probably that's probably early with the kind of, when I think about it, the kind of photography and the crime thing. You know, obviously, I didn't know then, 30 years on, I'd be fucking photographing everybody in the whole of Britain. It just ended up it's crazy how the kind of journey went, you know.
So we'll go in and talk about that later, but I know, like, so did you work? Did you get, how did the working come about with doing photography? Like,
late 80s, my wife's dad was a keen photographer, amateur photographer. And obviously, when I used to get in, and you'd have the old camera on the kitchen table. It was like something like a relic for the Cold War or something, you know. What the hell is that, you know? And I remember picking it up, and because he was into photography, it was then decided that oh, why don't you take that up? And well, it's worth trying. A boy for the East End with a camera, and it's not going to go down too well, is it? You had to hide that for your mates at the time, you know. And I remember going to which was called the Cranhill Arts Project, which was, they were still going to this day. But what they would do is, they'd obviously been these kind of working class areas and just teaching people the basics of photography. And that's how it happened. I remember getting in, and they learn you the kind of, functions of a camera.
Yeah.
And then how we take pictures and then develop it. So you were in darkroom and you were learning in the darkroom. And you hear a lot of photographers saying that about basically the first time they see their print in a darkroom. It was just magic. To me, it was magical. And I thought, I've made this, you know, I've taken it, I've made it. This is sensational how that's happened, and it really kind of stems from there. But when I first picked up a camera, I actually put the film goes into the camera and it doesn't kind of catch right.
Aye.
So my very first roll of film, I'm thinking, yeah, I've got 500 shots in here, you know, and you only get 36 in a roll of film. And I'm thinking, how is that possible, 500 shots? The thing, I'd fucked up the very first thing I'd ever photographed.
Aye.
And but that's where the bug come for the Cranhill Arts Project. What a great place. And actually, 3 of the photographers, you wouldn't get this now, but 3 of the photographers that came out of that Cranhill Arts Project, one was myself, who went on to become a chief photographer with the news of the world, I hate to say it. Daily Record.
Aye.
And another guy who's, you know, Scotsman, became the chief photographer of the Scotsman.
Crazy.
Off of the Cranhill Arts Project. It's unbelievable what
happened. But it kind of shows like there's a lot of hidden talent. Do you know what I mean? In the schemes, Brian, there's a lot of hidden talent in the schemes.
That's where you got all the boxers, the players, the musicians,
and writers, and they can kind of resonate with the working class aspect. Do you know what I mean? 100%. So obviously, like, I know we'll talk about the kind of celebrity stuff first. So obviously, we had some you had some kind of crazy times with some of the celebrities. So what kind of memorable things can you remember,
so basically, how I ended up getting into the press was basically this would have been early 90s, and it was just growing up in the East End, no really scared of anything. You've got an attitude, you know, you're not frightened of anything. So you've got that combined with a camera. That's deadly. That's deadly. And it was just I think I'd heard on the radio or the news, whatever it was, that Prince was playing that night. Pop star Prince. So he was playing a secret gig at the garage. Right. So I thought, right, okay, I wonder if I could go and get pictures of him. I was really thinking, you want to make your name, and you're thinking, and then I was told you won't get anywhere near him because he's a recluse, and you can't get pictures of him. Nobody's got pictures of him. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. So me and a pal of mine's, Tony Nicoletti, who's for Easterhouse. As I said, Tony became the chief photographer at Daily Record. So there's me and there's him. And basically, we're there that night, and this is how it all happened. So basically, we're at the back door of the garage. Must have been -5. We're at the back door. The press were all they were all there at the start. When it was the easy shift and all. And we'll try to get a picture of him getting in, nice and easy. Never happened. He came in the back door, surrounded with security. So hopefully, you're thinking he's going to come at the back door. So we're at the back door. You know, time's going on. This is 2 a.m. Okay, next thing is, you know, something's going to happen. You see everybody's starting to panic, security, and you're like, okay, something's going to happen here. So next thing the security's jumped in this black suit Jeep or van or whatever it is, and they've just screeched away to the front. You're thinking, fucking, he's coming at the front door, you know, the back door. So next thing, all the fans are all there, and they're all screaming, go, get him, go. And you're just running, it's chaos. But what we didn't know, there was 2 cars, one was a decoy. So they were putting one car at the front, one car was coming up the back. So you're thinking, where the fuck is he, you know? And it was just chaos, and the snow's coming down. Honestly, it was like one of the blizzards you've ever. It's been in Siberia. I'm running down the hill, you know, that hill at the back of the garage, and it's just a steep, Sucky Hall Street. So I'm running down there with Tony, and the two's not only we're running, we're now skating. We're skating on ice. Sliding. It's a dancing on ice. We're running. We're going all the way down to the end. Tony shouted, "Brian, I can't take a picture," because name days you had to have a lead in your flash, so the flash would work. His has came out. He's like, "I can't take that," and I'm like, "I'll get him." And sure enough, he's at the front door of the garage, and he's fucking, they're pulling him out. He's surrounded by security. I've ran out, and I've ended up fighting with security guards. So they're trying to pull you, and you're kicking and punching, and because back then you've just got an attitude, you know. You don't grab my camera, you know. And next thing he's fucking there, like I'm sliding out of the place, you know. And next thing I'm inside the back of the van, and he's like that, and I'm going, shh, I'm taking his picture, and they're actually dragging me out with the ankles. So I'm getting dragged out with the ankles, and the flash is lighting up the limousine. It was like one of the Dennis Pennis fucking moments, you know. And then the next thing, fucking that's it, finished. He's away, and I'm thinking, fucking, I wonder if I got pictures of him, you know. So the next day I phones up the Daily Star newspaper. Typically you get them. It was the head of Spider-Man, you know. Come in, you know, like, let's see what you've got, you know, and I better not be shit and all that attitude. A guy called Kevin Ayres, who was a big name in journalism. His dad was a big name as well in Fleet Street and stuff like that. And he actually was the one that kind of, him and another guy gave me my break all through this. So what happened is, I left the film. I said, let me know if you've got anything, you know. And I just started to head back up the road. The next thing I got the phone call for Kevin Ayres. He went, Brian, he says, can you come back in? I said, what have I done? He went, what have you done? He says, your pictures are about to go worldwide. And I'm going, fucking hell. Could you believe it, you know? So I'm away back down again. We need you to sign this thing, you know. So next thing they've got the editor of the London editor's on the phone for London. Oh, right, mate, how did you fucking get him, you know? And I was like, well, different breed up here, mate, you know. Different breed.
Glasgow.
You know? No problem. It's not a problem. You know, there's guys up here, you know. And he was going, wow, he said, nobody's got him in years, you know. And that was it. And then basically that went, the pictures went worldwide. But they were used in the Daily Star. And then they went all over the world. And I was like, can you believe it, you know? And on the back of that, I got a phone call from a guy called Peter Steele, who was ex-National Enquirer. He says, look, I saw your pictures in the newspaper. Can you come and see me? There's a position for you at a news agency now. I'm winging it at this point. I'm like, what the fuck's a news agency, you know? And I'm going away in, they went, look, we want to offer you a job. I'm starting a news agency. Back then in the 1990s, that's how the press got a lot of their stories, was through news agencies. So the news agency would have a reporter. They'd have 2 or 3 reporters, and they'd have one photographer or a couple. And what they would do is they would sell the package. So they would put the story together. Here's the photographer. There's the pictures together. And it was big money back in them days. So they would sell that story to the nationals for maybe £1,500 per national. So they're only paying you a wage. So you're only maybe getting, I don't know what it was back then, a few £100 a week. And that's how they were. And that's how he basically says, I can offer you the job. And I get the.
Is that how you kind of twigged that? I need to do this myself. I should be kind of doing this myself.
Eventually, but I was way there. I was there for about 5 years, and that's kind of where you were learning your craft, because you were working for all the newspapers. So back then you did the Today newspaper, and then you obviously the Express, the Herald. So you had to develop whatever you know, how you were photographing had to be in the style of that each individual, because they've all got their own styles. The Herald's kind of broadsheet, tabloids, fucking in your face, you know, like tight, fucking they don't want the arty stuff, and so you're learning and while I was learning my kind of craft,
you're learning your
I was involved in all the big stories. All the big stories happened at that time. Dunblane happened, you know. I remember going out there thinking, hearing it on the radio at first, thinking, fucking hell, another shooting in America? No, it's in Scotland. Wow. And then going out on getting sent out with one of the nationals on that, and I remember turning up on that, and it was just.
That must have been.
There was helicopters landing for all over the world. Press were coming in everywhere. You know, America.
Because that was like, I know. I mean, it was like, it wasn't like this. I'm not saying it's common, but it's like it's kind of common to see a lot of it in America. You know
to happen here, it was.
I know.
We had Hungerford. We had that was the big one, wasn't it? Before it, but to be involved in that, and it was just. You were going back at night, thinking. All you kept thinking about was the kids, you know.
I know.
I didn't have kids then, but it would even worse.
No, I know.
If you have kids yourself, it totally just knocks you for 6, you know. You're just constantly thinking about the kids, and that was just a horrible, horrible time, you know. But it was one of the biggest stories in the world.
No,
you know?
I think probably one of the biggest stories Scotland's ever had, really. Do you know what I mean? So, like, obviously to be involved in that, Brian, but I mean, obviously, like, there's been moments I know like Muhammad Ali as well. Like, so what happened there with that?
With Ali, that was basically this was before. I'd literally days. I'd picked up the camera in days, and what I used to do was just go around the city.
Aye.
Still do it now. 30 years on, I document just ordinary life in the city.
Aye.
That's where you get your best pictures.
Aye.
There's nothing staged, or you just capture things. And to me, that's when you look. Now it's kind of frowned upon. Everybody's taking pictures. But how do you document life? You know, everybody stop on that. You got to document how you live. But the Ali thing happened when that must have been about 1993, 94. He was at the one of the big Waterstones or one of the big book places, and I remember just, I'm going to black myself in here, you know, because you had to just black it. And then days, I'm blacking it. It was easier to black. See, now you can't get by anything. But back then, you were like, I'm blagging this. I'm getting in here, no matter what. I'm getting a picture of this guy. So there was queues, people signing up to get the books done, and then the press were there. And I thought, well, I'll just go with the press. So you're there with the press, you know, in amongst it. He's going to say boo to you, and you're like, can we get you to look here, Ali, and all this, and people they're not going to say anything, you know. I've had a few scraps later on in life, you know, but that particular day, I remember going up to him, and I remember just taking his picture, thinking, this is the fucking first celebrity I've ever photographed. He was the first I'd ever photographed.
Was that the first?
He's the first ever, and he could barely speak because he had Parkinson's disease. And I said to him, and I remember he shook my hand, and it was like there. I came up to it there, and I'm thinking, fuck, I look like a hobbit beside this guy, you know. And I said to him, by the way, I just want to say you're the greatest. And he went, I know. And I was like, fuck, he said, I know. And then he said, and I said, this is my first celebrity, and he just kind of winked as if to say,
good on
it's
you.
all downhill for here then, innit? and it was. I don't think I photographed anybody as famous as him.
No,
he's
probably one of the most famous people ever, but
he was known all over the world, wasn't he?
Aye.
Everywhere. What
was what's your kind of what's your most memorable moment? Like the kind of craziest thing you've been involved in, like with a celebrity.
Hundreds.
I know.
I'm going to give you the Amy Winehouse one because it ended up being the last photograph of Amy taken in Glasgow. So basically, she was arriving. So we were at the front door. This would have been I don't know when she died, but 2011.
Aye.
So this would have been about 2008 or something, a few years before. And she was at the Barland. So she's at the Barland. So there's me and there's a few guys at the front trying to get her coming in to the back door of the Barland. She's security everywhere.
Aye.
Got a few frames. She's turning up. She's grilling at everybody. But she gets that every day in her life. She's so flashed up and you can imagine the London paps on her constant. If I'd have went to London, I'd have probably went to prison. My attitude, I'd have went to prison if I was. That's why I didn't go, because I'd have been caged up for life.
It's not an easy job, is it?
No, but that particular night, she basically, we got her getting in, and that was fine. And you're thinking, right, we need to get her coming out. And again, it was a late one. It was 2 a.m. She's still inside. Apparently, it was a brilliant. Her voice was brilliant that night. You know, she was really good. So what I decided to do was I took the biggest set of ladders down with me at the back door, because I knew when they were coming out, she'd have been surrounded.
Aye.
And then the car was in front of it. So I had to tower above everything. Aye. Including any photographers. There's about 3 or 4 photographers. And I've got the biggest set of ladders you could ever find. I still got the emulsion on the ladders, and I've turned up, I planted the ladders right in front of the fucking car.
Aye.
And I've just towered above everybody. And I've stood up there, frozen solid, for about 2 hours. And eventually she comes out. She's come out. The guys at the side, they can't get a picture because she's blocked.
Aye.
She's blocked in, and she's in amongst everybody. And I managed to get 2 frames. First frame's blank. Second frame, she's lit with the other guy's flash gun, so it almost looks like a painting.
I've seen it. I've seen the
photo. That picture?
Aye.
And she looks so vulnerable when it comes out. And I would say that's probably one of my best pictures, because again, that's a picture that went everywhere. But to get that picture when they were trying to make a big deal, he stopped me for getting it. And then obviously the fact that she died, you know.
I know, it was a shame.
And I was really into her music as well, you know. And I would say that was definitely one of my kind of favourite pictures, you know.
I mean, obviously it's you probably get to know these people, but you get to kind of see their life because you're kind of seeing them at different levels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe at the start of her career, and then seeing her at the end, and you're seeing like the kind of how vulnerable she is, as you say. Do you know what I mean?
She was it was like Diana all over again, wasn't it, with the Paps? And obviously the Paps in London are totally ruthless, you know.
Aye.
I think that even in Italy they're worse, you know, but London, it's just, it was all high speed car chase. I mean, I brought that into up here. I done all that high speed car chases with Liam Gallagher, and I mean, it just all happened. I was really out of control. Probably something I'm not proud of, but
no, I know.
When you look back, you're thinking, do you know what? I was out of control. I was literally fucking.
Did you get Liam?
I photographed everybody. I mean, car chases. I ended up in a car chase. I ended up Oasis were at the height of their fame, and this was through in Edinburgh. And I remember Ingliston. I think we were playing Ingliston, and then I remember the car coming towards me, a big Jeep. And Liam was in it, Noel was in it, and it's coming to kind of. And I'm thinking, fuck, I'm just going to dive on the car. So I've just dived on it to try and just, as far as you can go to try and. While I'm trying to dive towards the car, it swerved into me, and I'm on the bonnet, trying to take a picture. So I've got a picture, and they're gone like that. Well, we'll get it. So, so they've gone. So they smashed all my gear. The cops got involved, and I thought, do you know what? I want new gear. You know. So I remember it was in the Sunday Mail at the time. Photographer in brush with Bad Boys of Rock Oasis. That was a big headline. And I had numerous run-ins with Noel and Liam back in the 90s.
The bit, I mean, people like that. I know their music's amazing, but I've heard numerous stories about them. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when they've got drinks in them. Do you know what I mean?
That's all we done at one point. It was Oasis mania, wasn't it? Same with Gazza. When Gazza signed to Rangers, it was a bit of
I know you've got a story about Gazza.
I'll come to that in a second. But the Oasis thing, I mean, there was one particular night. It was outside the Hilton, actually. It was outside the Hilton. I've stood to try and get. I've got pictures of Noel coming out, easy enough. And then the next thing, this guy's coming out to me and he's like, right, try to block you for getting pictures. Saw that about. And I'm like, I says, mate, I'm trying to do a job here, you know. He went, I know, but I'm trying to do my job. Big, arrogant fucking piece. I'm like, right, okay. So I went like that and he's moved to the side. And I says, mate, don't do that again. So I've moved to the side and he's moved. I went, this is your last warning. I'm not going to warn you again, get off my fucking road. And then he's done it again and I've just grabbed him and I went, come here, and I've just pulled him right out the road. And he's just rolled and landed. And then I've went on that to Noel, and Noel's like, I says, all right, no, Glasgow paparazzi, mate. And he's went, and he started going on that. I says, why don't you give me an original picture? Why don't you do that instead of that? And he's laughing in the back seat, you know. But that was one of
that's class.
The class stories right at the height of their fame, you know.
No, it's actually photos I know, but it's photos that I can't remember.
Do you know what? I just didn't like these people. You got a bit of your temperament. You don't. People watch too many movies, don't they? Oh, we'll grab this photo. No, you're not grabbing my camera.
I know.
You're not grabbing my camera.
I seen Jamiroquai doing it. Well, he done it, didn't he?
They done it down south. The assaulted photographers down south, and they just want to get away with it up here.
It's like there's a balance in there, and it's like if you're a celebrity, then you're living off you're a celebrity. And I'm not saying you're not allowed a private life. Do you know what I mean? But when you're up gigging and
when they're in London, they're courting the publicity.
I know.
So they're going to certain restaurants who know the Paps will be.
I know.
So they go. So they want the publicity. When they come to Scotland, they don't want the publicity because they know that there isn't any Paps up there. No, is there no? Well, I'm here, and I hoovered. I was hoovering everybody up. It got to the stage where the Daily Record magazine, Saturday magazine came out, and the editor says, "Look, we'll pay you £100 a picture for every picture you get. £100." I'm like,
go for it.
Fucking hell, I made myself rich here, you know. I was hoovering, I was snapping everybody. Like everybody that moved, they were getting fucking parked. I was constantly snapping celebrities, and it got to a stage where the Record had to say to me, "Brian, we need to rein this in a bit." I went, "What do you mean?" They went, "You're getting too many pictures. We can't afford to pay you £100 a picture." And it all stopped because I was getting too many pictures.
That's mental.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, you think you would want the constant photographs, but I was blowing their budgets.
Because newspapers are dying a death now. Not dying a death, but
they're all gone now. Everything's online now with kids now. You've got kids in newspapers now. I mean, years ago, especially when I was in the middle of it, you had big name journalists, guys like Dave Leslie. You know, if you know, I've seen his stuff. and all the big, you know, heavy journalists with all the big connections,
Aye.
they're all gone now.
Aye.
And what it is, it's just everything's clickbait now.
I know.
So you get into one of the big newsrooms, and it used to be a cast of thousands. Now there's 2 people in there.
I know.
And there's 2 kids. Another day is rehashing stories and putting them out.
Aye.
Change days, they're all gone.
No, I know, it's definitely not the same. But
that's why you see the same story and they're all copying each other and it's all clickbait.
You can see it. I think you can see it on Twitter and that and all. X. As soon as one story comes out, it's just like
and they're all jumping like Trump, and it's an easy hit for them all, isn't it?
I know.
You know, they just all copy each other and it's just for whatever reason, negativity's selling as well, isn't it? So everything you see is like immigration and politics and it's hatred and religion and because you know I think platforms like Facebook, they want to keep you on Facebook.
I know.
So in order to keep you on Facebook, they've got to keep you pissed off.
Aye.
So in order to keep you pissed off, you've got all the negative shit to keep you pissed off. And that's
tactics,
that's the way it is.
Strategy, and it's bad. It's like I mean, we've spoken loads of times on here about the kind of the bad stuff that's going on in the world. But so what happened with the Gazza one then? That was when it was kind of
Gazza was funny. Gazza was really funny. I had a lot of run-ins with Gazza.
Did you?
A lot of run-ins with him. Again, when he signed for Rangers, I was at the press conference when he signed for Rangers, and I remember him. I remember being in the actual press conference. See it, one of the biggest signings ever in Scotland, wasn't it? Great player, Gazza. You know, and we're all getting ready, anticipation, flash guns ready to go. Walter Smith walks in. Sorry, it's me. You're like, sit down, Walter. Door goes again. You're not. I don't know, Archie Knox walks in. Sorry, boy. Take the piss out, everybody, you know. And then Gazza comes out. Some press conference. It was just, I mean, the crowds gathered from everywhere. And for that day he arrived, it was like, as far as the news desks were concerned, it was game on.
Did you have an incline, but that he was an alcoholic? Now, did you know that?
He's such a big name, wasn't he? I think what happened is it come from HQ in London, like, guy, we need Gazza stories.
Aye.
That's just, what we are doing in Scotland, we want Gazza stories. And all the newspapers are all getting run with London news desks. So they're like...
Is that what happened, Brian? Like, the HQ and then that's it?
It's all Scottish. The Scottish desks are all... Everything's all controlled in London. And Scotland's an afterthought, really. Aye. And it's like all the orders are all coming in. You still got to concentrate on your local stuff about breaks and things like that. But all the big orders are coming from London. So we want Gazza stores. So it was Gazza Mania. I remember the first time he'd literally, I was there with big Tony's, me and Tony were looking back to Tony Nicoletti. So Tony was working with me with the news agency, the 2 photographers. They hired him as well. So it was the 2 years. So he was earning his thing, same as me. And so we were sent down to the Hilton. Gazza's arriving at the Hilton. And we were going, oh, right, okay. So we and Tony goes away down to the Hilton. So we arrives, and I'm going, Tony, I'm going into the toilet, you know, because you got to hide your camera, you know. The camera's, you got a lens there, camera body there, flash gun in your back pocket so nobody can see your photographer. So I goes in, Tony comes into the toilet, and I'm like, shh, you're getting ready. You're clicking, you're like a fucking hitman, you know, clicking everything into place, you know. And next thing, Gazza's coming down the stairs, and I've ran out. All right, Gazza, how you doing? Tony's like, all right, Gazza. Fucking chaos, you know. Next thing, the managers came out, you know, and grabbed us fucking with a lapel. Right, fucking get out of here, you're allowed in. What we didn't know at the time is all the reporters were all undercover, so they're sitting watching on us. I mean, Tony's causing a fucking chaos. And then the 2 years back door, and I say to Tony, it's funny, 2 years are lying in cabbages in the back door. That's when you know you've made it. When you're lying in front of fucking rotten cabbages, you know, as a press photographer. We've done it. Again, headlines all the next day, Gazza. But that was just another incident with Gazza. The other one was basically, this was quite a good one. I was chasing him. When I used to do all the heavy pap stuff, I had all the doormen in all the hotels all sorting up. So you would give them, you give them a tenner or you give them a bottle of whiskey or whatever it was. So I had all the taxi drivers sewn up at that point. Because if I'm making £100 a picture, a basic picture on every celeb I get, you want all the hotels or
Aye. Yeah, so
you know, such and such is in here, you know. Gazza's coming. So I got the call, Gazza's coming. So taxi drivers just picked him up for the airport, Glasgow airport. He's flying in. And this was the first time he'd have been snapped. Because remember that he got charged with assault and hitting his wife or something. Yep. That was a big story. So he disappeared for a while after that. That was a big scandal at the time where he was allegedly
I remember it. It was like his missus with a black eye on it. I remember.
So this was the first time he'd have been seen since that event. So next time the car drives up, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's him. I think he's there with his wife. I can remember, like two of them are there, and I'm like hiding behind the pillar. So you've got to try and hide a wee bit, let them come out.
Aye.
So I'm hiding behind the pillar like that. Next thing I'm like that, and then I went, all right, Gazza, shh. And he went, oh, fucking might have known you'd have been here. And I went, how you doing? And he just fucking, he walks right in. You can tell he was angry.
Aye.
He's fucking raging. And again, that picture was on the front page of the Daily Mirror nationally.
Aye.
So that was another.
What's it like having your photos on the big? Is that a good feeling?
It's all ego in it. Inflates the ego. Oh, I got that picture. I mean, nobody else got it. And it's hard to put a camera on somebody's face and knowing that there's going to be confrontation, especially if you're fighting with minders and stuff like that, and they're all wanting to fucking drag you about.
Because some of them are trained. Like,
SAS. A lot of them are ex-SAS, and so it's quite a big thing to get. And photographers in general, they're all out to get each other.
Aye.
They're all, I want a bigger picture than him, I want a better picture than him, I want to
be
the man. It's all that, you know. So I was quite pleased when I got that picture, but that led to something else that was happening. So basically, I ended up, I think I was staking out his place out in Kilmacombe, like that way, Bridge of Weir.
Aye.
And I've ended up chasing him on the motorway, bumper to bumper.
Aye.
So I'm bumper to bumper for a fucking 10 mile or something, you know, and he's looking at the back, giving it all that. And I remember looking at my engine and think it's starting to heat up. And I'm chasing it, and then the next thing my fucking engine just blows, the motor just blows up on the motorway. And I've pulled inside and he's like, whoa, get it up here. And engine had gone. Fucking.
You'd have been loving that.
So he'd have been loving it. So basically that cost me for a recon engine. It's about $2,000.
Fuck's sake.
So I'm thinking, all that money I've made chasing this fucking Gazza.
I've put the boot back.
And then he put and I think he found out about that later on. He was like, oh yes, you know, that was his day. That was another example of just fucking madness, you know. I wouldn't do things like that now, you know.
No, I think would if you got the right. But there was one I know. I was reading about Eminem.
Eminem, he was another one that come. Again, a big massive name at the time. He came. Everybody was staking at the hotel. I remember his security everywhere, you know. And I remember I was dying to get a picture of him. And I got great pictures of him later on in the day, but for whatever reason I was pulled off the job. I was raging because, Brian, you need to go here. I'm like, oh, fuck, I want to get pictures of Eminem, you know. So I'm like, okay. I had to go somewhere else. I was literally away for about 2 hours. All these photographers are still staking him out, so he's not come out yet. And they're like, I then gets a phone call for, might have been a guy called Dominic Kokoza. So Dom gave me the record. Dom says, Brian, get your ass down here. I've just been leathered. I'm like, what happened? They went, I just seen the security come out with Eminem. It says, and the voice of Brian went into my brain. It says, and I've just reacted. It says, next thing they started throwing punches. And I'm like, oh, right, okay, I'll be there. I'll be there soon. Managed to get back and get the pictures of Eminem. But that was, ended up his minders came out, and I've ended up getting caught with another photographer. I've just ran into them. Sometimes it was about 6 minders. I've just charged them because I'm thinking, what's the point? I just charge into them and just at least if it breaks them up, somebody else could get a photograph. And there's a photograph of me charging them, like almost like a bull, Eric Cantona-esque. And I've just charged them, and managed. It was just chaos. I managed to get a picture. I got better pictures later on when he'd done the whole Michael Jackson thing with the doll. He was at his hotel.
I remember that.
He was throwing the doll up. He'd done all that. They were good pictures. But that particular day, so that story got used elsewhere for the Daily Mirror. I think it was the end of the year, celebrity dust up of all time, number from 1 to 10. I was number 5 with Eminem, and I was raging because I was number 1. That's how we
Who was number 1?
I can't remember the story, but I was number 5. I thought, fucking number 5.
Still fucking
effort,
brilliant.
you know?
I know.
So that's the kind of attitude you had back then, you know. It was just kind of fun and games and
you kind of need
chaos and.
So how did obviously we're going to kind of shooting the mob and faces and that now, right? So how did crime come about then? How did that come
being
about?
with the news of the world?
Aye.
Basically doing all our crime.
So I mean, you don't need to name names, not, but is that sometimes obviously was there guys involved in crime maybe phoning to try and get pictures, or did that happen?
A lot of it was a lot of it. See, you the two camps. You the news of the world who would take these stories for crime, gangsters' point of view, criminals' points of view, like telling sit-downs, you know, like the kiss and tell type things where they sit down with whoever it is.
I remember them,
come out of jail, they would tell their story. You would get the Sunday Mail and the Record who would date it for the side, the Strathclyde Police, Police Scotland, whatever it is. So they would be, so you'd have the two
narratives,
two different narratives at the same time, coming from two different newspapers. So the news of the world was basically, it was obviously the criminal side of things. You would get sit-downs with all the big kind of criminals, and the first one really was Paul Ferris.
Aye.
So I was, do you know Paul Ferris? I went, do I know Paul Ferris? I come from Black Hill.
Aye.
Right, okay, well, we're doing a serialisation of his book. Right, okay, fucking hell, that'd be good, you know. So I don't know how much money they paid. Back then it was decent money, but everybody wanted that serialisation written by Reg Mackay. That's
right. It was some book. I remember it when it came out. It was like
Ferris Conspiracy.
Aye, it was big. It was massive.
So that was a big.
First book I ever read. Actually.
Was it?
Aye.
So that was the big story at the time. You know, Paul Ferris is getting released. 2002 it might have been.
Aye. He's
getting released. He's right. Okay, we need you on that story. Me and another guy and a reporter called Dave Leslie.
Aye.
Right. Okay, can you just go to the Art House Hotel? Billy Ferris is there. He's going to meet Paul. It's the first time they've seen each other in.
X amount of years.
10 years or something.
That'd have been Billy just finishing his first life for then, aye.
So that was great. So I turned up on that. Meanwhile, Paul's outside Franklin. I think it was Franklin, telling the press pack, he's gone straight. I'm going straight. You know,
I remember.
Didn't believe him at the time. But it just shows you back then.
I know.
You know, I'm going straight, telling the world he's gone straight. I'm in the Art House Hotel. We're waiting for Paul to turn up. So this was a couple of hours earlier. And so I remember being with Dave and the other photographer, Mark Craig, he was there. It was 2 years. And basically Billy was there. And Billy, do you want a coffee, Billy? We've been told to keep him sweet. Make sure he wants whatever he wants, you know. You want a coffee, Billy? Get me 7 Budweisers. You're like, 7 Budweisers? Well, I'll see if you can back down and so Billy was kind of, you could sense the menace off him, you know.
I know Billy.
He's like, some guys you can just,
I'm
not saying anything here, I'm fucking, doesn't matter what I'm saying, you can feel the total fucking men back in the hairs go up. That he was a bit like
I like Billy. I was in shots with Billy.
I've heard stories about him being really decent with folk inside, you know.
He was always good to me, and he was fit. Like, honestly, fit. He used to run marathons every weekend, man. Fit, really fit. And he had that. He used to get guys. Honestly, he used to get guys like that were kind of overweight and that, and they used to kick them into shape, man. He had them into shape. You know what I mean? I always liked Billy. Do you know what I mean? I always going well with him.
I've heard that. So basically, So then I said to Billy, we'll do the beers, you know, side of things and keep them sweet. And then he's like, I know you. Do I know your face? I know your face. I went, no, you don't know me, Billy. He's like, so he's talking about the reporter, and then he's like that, looking there at me. He's like, I definitely know your face. I mean, no, you don't know me. I've never met you, Billy. You know. He's like, have you ever done time? I was like, no. I says, the only reason you know me, Billy, is because you know my dad.
Aye.
He went, who's your dad? I went, Donnie Anderson. And I was like, Donnie, he knew him, he knew my dad. I went, Donnie Anderson. And he was like, fuck. Dave was like, Donnie Anderson. I went, it's my dad. He went, but what I didn't know at the time was basically him and my dad used to party up together.
Aye.
And it turned out, again, I didn't even know at the time, but because he never told me anything. But they used to nick cars.
Aye.
And when I went to see my dad when I was young, I've got this vision of going to see him, thinking he was working in the post office.
I know.
You're going to see him in Berlin, aren't you? When you're a boy, you think your dad's working in the post office, so I'm going to see him.
Aye.
I was that was my memory.
Aye.
But I didn't know the connection with Billy Ferris.
Aye.
So, and then Paul comes into the room for the first time. We were out with the cameras, you know, two of them are suited and booted. And, how you doing? Nah, not too bad. Fucking Billy, guess who's his dad is? He went, no, who? He went, Donnie Anderson. And then Paul went, no, Donnie Anderson. Dave went, who the fuck's Donnie Anderson? I said, that's my dad. And ever since then, we just all clicked, you know.
Aye.
Because then Paul, I took the pictures of Billy, and I don't know if you've seen them, the pictures of Billy drinking a bottle of beer.
Aye.
Like,
aye.
They knew, so they'd been used a lot of times. So I took the pictures, and I remember Paul saying to me, look, I have to go and get my partner. I think it's Greenfield or something. Do you want to do the driving? Because it's press packs chasing us everywhere.
Aye.
I'm like, right, okay. So Paul jumps in the motor. You know, I've got the fucking sounds on.
Aye.
Wolf tones.
Aye.
He went, the wolf tones. Fucking, I love it, you know. So next time I drive and try to get away from the press, they're screeching, because they're trying to get snap them.
Aye.
And I've got to try and keep them away from the press. So again, it's all...
So it's like reverse, you're in reverse now.
Up side streets. But Paul knew all the areas, East End as well. So we're all get up the side streets, and I went like that. I said, Paul, I got something to say to you. He went, what's that? I went, just to let you know, this motor's not insured, mate. He went, it's not insured? I went, no. He went, right.
He's got license and that.
And then he's like, I've got something else. He went, I said, the MOT's up the day. The MOT's actually up the day, and they never gave me a car to pick you up in, because normally we'd give you a hire car. It was all happened too fast. He went, right, let me get this straight. So you haven't got insurance, you haven't got MOT. I went, there's something else, Paul. I went, oh, for fuck's sake, don't tell me you're a cop. I went, no, there's a warrant of my arrest for parking tickets. He went, right, okay, let me get this straight. You've no fucking MOT, you've no insurance, there's a warrant of your arrest. I'm sitting here. Now, I'm the guy the cops are going to... If they get audios, I'm the guy they're going to string up, but you're the one breaking the law. This is brilliant. I love it. And ever since then, I've always, you know, got on well with him in terms of different projects and documentaries and books and various things, you know. And that's... I kind of went for there, and then I was on all the big stories. And
because there's a famous photo of Paul with the horn gun into it, with that one, like that was obviously like...
That's, well, when that story was finished, well, that particular day, we then had to take Paul down to England.
Aye.
To get away from everybody, all the press up here, because they were all sniffing about the story. So we were in a place called Preston.
Aye.
We ended up in a hotel in the middle of nowhere in Preston, and we were literally there for days, and Dave Leslie was getting his story. So he's getting the whole story, the whole history, and the whole, obviously, the book serialisation. And I'm getting different types of pictures. Aye. And then it was decided, the editor wanted a picture of Paul with a gun.
Aye.
That come for the editor, Bob Bird, big name editor at the time. And we were like, right, okay, well, where are we going to get a fucking gun, you know? And I'm like, pull this car up.
Aye.
What? Right, we need to go somewhere. So we went in the middle of the woods, you know, and next thing, boots open, take your pick. Paul's like that. Fucking hell, you try to invade fucking Serbia or something, you know? It was all props.
Aye.
And it's like, the next thing that was a headline. Because I think, because in the story, Paul tells a story about if the cops come in and you reach for something, even if it's a remote control, they just shoot you. I know,
especially something like him. So people like him.
That was a headline they wanted for that, but you know, they had to take the serial number and everything off it, and then it was like, and that was a picture, and that was later used for his book Vendetta, was it?
Vendetta, the second one. That's right. That was the cover
used on the front cover of Vendetta. But you don't know that. You don't know that at the time. And other photographers at the newspapers, they would be doing the kiss and tell type stuff, the fashion, you know, the bird.
Jordan and all that.
I never liked all that, because I thought I wanted the other historical stuff, you know. And so they kept all that stuff away from me, you know. It was like, you keep him today, because you come from the East End and you grew up, and they thought, right, okay, well, he's better suited to all the kind of gritty stuff. You know,
it's the stuff that gets you going into it, like the thing is. So moving on then to, how did Mick's photo come then, Mick Healy's photo?
Again,
because obviously by this time you must be building a wee bit of respect in that world.
The newspaper had shut in 2011 because of the whole scandal thing, and quite rightly so, the Millie Dowler thing. So that led to the end of the news of the world.
Did you know that was going on, Brian? No,
because that was all down south.
Aye, ruthless, wasn't it?
See, back then, it's not like the way it is now. See, everybody's well educated, know what's going on behind the scenes, the politics and all the skullduggery with governments.
Yep.
Back then, you didn't know any of that.
I know what you mean.
You could learn everything on the internet, and you know exactly with all the agendas that they've got now. But then you didn't know. So back then we didn't know that, for instance, Murdoch was in cahoots with the government.
Aye.
And in the end, that's what happened.
Aye.
They were so tight together. Was it David Cameron?
I saw in Translate Link where they hang it.
We never knew that at the time, and yet they were partners with each other. They were at each other's fucking weddings, and Murdoch and the editors, and so they're gone hand in hand. You get the state and the biggest newspaper in the world. But again, we didn't know that at the time.
I know. And
so it just shows you, So back then, so obviously when the papers finished in 2011, I first seen it on Sky News.
Aye.
And it was like, fucking, what's going on here?
That's a huge story, that.
So you lost your job. But not only that, a lot of decent people lost their job.
Aye.
And certainly there's a lot of people down south who deserve to go.
Aye.
But up here, it was like the photographers and printers, and there's a lot of decent people, a lot of scumbags.
Aye.
But it was a lot of decent folk lost their jobs. And so that had gone by that time, the newspaper. So I'm trying to do, this is getting into I'm still taking all these pictures, so I'm hoovering all these pictures up. So by 2000 and actually I was still at the paper when I wanted to do when I came up with the idea of doing the book Faces.
Aye.
I was still at the newspaper, and I was using that money to fund me to drive up and down the country.
Yep.
So I'd think nothing about jumping in a car and driving to Essex.
To get the boys.
Just to be in amongst what was happening there. Maybe I was invited to a wedding or a funeral. Same in Manchester. I've got to Manchester. I've got to Liverpool. I've got to Newcastle. I'd get all the invites everywhere.
Aye.
Plus, people would be like, "Okay, we'll pause up for this book," because it was a historical book, but it wasn't a book like this is going to be done right. Where you maybe have a bit of say, because these are all the guys that have been notorious. So in order to be notorious, people have got to know about you. You've got to done a bit of time. So you can tell their story, and then you can maybe take a nice set of photographs. And that was the idea behind that book, tell the history of crime through photographs.
Aye.
So it starts off in the 50s in the 60s with the protection rackets.
Aye.
Here's all the guys. And then it moves into the 70s with all the armed robbery. Here's all the guys.
Aye.
And then, because that's never been done before. And then it went into the 80s, and then you're starting to get into all the drugs. Here's all the drugs. And then obviously the way it is, and then drugs fuck everything up.
I know.
And then it becomes everything's drugs.
Yeah.
So the idea was to tell the story through photographs. A bit like when if you say you're interested in the Wild West and you go and buy a book, well, fuck, look, that's Jesse James and that's Billy the Kid. And that was the idea behind thinking about the book Faces. Mm-hmm. It was today with people researching crime. It wasn't because you were glorifying that. That wasn't the thing. I dare say when you're pointing the camera on somebody, you're glorifying them a wee bit. But
I know what you mean, but there's two sides to that, because obviously, let's be honest, crime sells. I mean, like some of the biggest box sets and films are all crime. Do you know what I mean?
Even EastEnders is a crime narrative.
I know. I don't. It's especially so. So you started to build up a bit of trust, and then obviously. So how did Mick?
So Mick basically. So by that time, I'm doing the Faces book.
Aye.
And then I've got the call via somebody to go and see Mick. So I've turned up at his apartment in Dalmarnock, remember there? That's where he was. And I've walked in, I thought, this guy looks like Bob Dylan, He's got the long hair and the glasses. Might even be in a guitar there.
Aye.
I'm thinking, is this Bob Dylan I've turned up, I'm like to photograph Dylan. And then Mick's like, so what is... So he made me a coffee and he's talking away.
He's a crack guy,
everybody,
Aye.
And he's like, I seen your picture of Paul. And I said, what is it you want to do? I want a better picture. I want a better picture than that. I went, you want a better picture than that? He went, aye, 2 minutes. Guys turned up at the door. There's a silencer. Gets taken in a toolbox.
Aye.
Like a wee toolbox. Opens up as a silencer. 5 minutes later, the next bit of the gun's there.
Aye.
And I'm like, fucking, now he's got the other bit. And then there's the other bit, in a poly bag, and this guy, so the police are watching him outside because he's constantly getting watched.
Aye.
And he's managed to sneak this thing in.
Aye.
He went, how's that for a picture? You know, and he's waving it about, and he's got the cigarette, and he's waving it about, you know, and I'm like, fuck, this is brilliant, Mick, you know.
Aye.
and I'm thinking, this is fucking real. I hope that's not loaded. Is that loaded? He's laughing at me, you know. And then his wife phones, or his girlfriend, whoever it was, his partner, and she's like, Brian, I was with you last night, wasn't I? You know, and he's, what do you mean? I never. And so he's fighting me.
Aye.
And I'm thinking, and as he starts getting angry, he's fucking waving this thing about, you know. And by that point, I'm in the corner. I'm like, Mick, you need to point that out there, mate, you know. And I says, going to shoot it? Can we shoot it off somewhere? And he went, no, I'm not shooting. I can't shoot it, Brian. Fucking the whole city will hear this thing, you know. And sure enough, it was real. But he said to me, he said, don't print that picture until 6 months later. Or something. It was for the book anyway, so it was 6 months later. But I think he heard that the minute that, I'm sure that he said to me the minute that picture was aired in the book, his door came in.
Aye.
They were in looking for it. But it was, he said, if anybody says anything to you, just tell them we've took this picture in Estonia or something like that.
Aye.
So it was kept quiet for a few years.
Aye.
And it was proper fucking...
He's a miss to the world, Mick. He was a character.
Well, I met him again when we done Faces of the Underworld. He turned up with Paul that day, and I'd done him again having tea. They were having cups of tea. And
he's a good guy. He was a cracking guy.
He died, didn't he? He died a couple of years ago.
He passed away, Mick. I was at the last time I seen him was at my uncle's funeral. He was at my uncle's funeral.
Well, they reckoned, what I get told at the time is that the police weren't allowed to get near him unless he had armed response from him. That's
like any of the characters, Brian. See, anybody that's got, like, that they've got intelligence on.
They can't go near these guys.
Anybody that's kind of got a name that's like they can't go near, know what I mean? Right. So what happened with, I know obviously you end up quite pally with Joe Steele. How did that through Faces? I know
that went back to the 90s.
People start contacting you, like, for Faces?
No, really. Mostly I was on the phone to people, or I was give their number. So if I was in Manchester, I'd maybe be 2 or 3 I'd get in Manchester. If I was with Massey, I'd be like, here, you know, here's a number. Or you ever heard the Arthur Donnelly? So that's the quality guy. So you're sitting with him and he would be like, you know, try that, I'll tell you the story in a minute about Tyson Fury. It's basically, you're just networking, constantly networking. The Joe Steele, I was on the actual story in the 90s when I think they got let out the first time. Remember there was an appeal? I think
they got an intern lab.
So that was the first time I'd met him. And what had happened was, again, the whole press pack descended on Gothamlock, and we were all inside Joe's flat. And Joe's there with his ma, basically. And it's great. The pictures of them all hugging. It was a big story. And it might have just before Christmas, I can't remember, in the 90s. And so that was the first time I'd met Joe. And then I think they got out again, didn't I? I was photographing him again.
They lost that. I mean, they lost the appeal, they went back in. They lost the appeal, went back in, and then won it later on again.
I'd been on it again as a news story, so I'd met him again. And then I met him again through something else, another story.
Did he introduce you to TC then?
No, again, TC was done through. I think I was working for the Herald at the time. Right. And he says, go to TC's. And I would photograph in TC.
That was a huge story, I know.
I was getting him as well, separate for Joe. But I think they fell out with each other, didn't they? At one point, they weren't getting on with each other. Couldn't get them together as much, you know.
I don't know what happened, to be honest, Brian. I've not got a clue. But I don't. They certainly weren't as close. I don't know what.
Well, I was the only photographer. I was in. See, the night that they were completely free, there was a party in Denniston's, a pub in Denniston, and I was the only photographer allowed into the party. So I had pictures of the two of them spraying champagne, and then I took the photographs to the Herald. And the Herald put them in the Herald's machine, like processing machine. And that was notorious for fucking people's films up.
You're joking?
And mangled all the film.
Fuck's sake.
Mangled it all. Came back out, there was nothing there. Low story photographs.
The Herald, didn't it?
Glasgow Herald,
Fuck's sake.
Never even saw the pictures. But obviously I got to know Joe then, and then...
Joe's a cracking guy, man.
And I photographed him... for the Faces book. Did you ever see that book, The Faces book?
Aye, it's brilliant. I mean, it's like...
I'm going to bring it
it's
out.
an everybody's
I'm going to read it and bring it out.
If anybody that's like that hasn't know Brian's stuff should follow you. And how do, like we'll say the now, like how do people go and see Faces, Brian?
Well, Faces is you can't get that now. That was done.
Is that not on your Facebook?
There's a kind of I've done a re-edit.
Right.
Done myself. So
right.
I'll send you the links. So there'll be that, and then there'll be the latest.
But you can buy the actual book, can't you? And shooting them.
You can buy them, but I'm going to bring the actual original Faces. I'm going to bring out myself, and I'm just going to edit it myself and bring it out in Kindle as well.
That'd be good, man.
Kindle, people that like instant access, you know. But the shooting the mob is out basically in Amazon at the minute. Shooting the mob, and
because that's just new, isn't it?
That's just new. You can get that in Kindle, paperback or hardback.
So who's in shooting the mob? Like who? I mean, I know it's an MD. Who's MD? But
it kind of starts off early. Paul's mentioned in it, and Paul Massey, Quality Street Gang, some of the like Tam McGraw, Photograph McGraw. Yeah, he's mentioned in it. Blink is mentioned in it, and then it tells the story when I get to England. And then it tells bits of their kind of story. But
you got down to Foreman and that and all, didn't you?
Freddie Foreman,
Frankie Fraser.
I've done all the different, and it's just I could bring out 10 of the books. There's that much stuff.
See, when you're sitting with these characters and you're getting to know like them all, are you starting to become? Because obviously, I know you weren't in that world, but you're starting to see that there's a good side to. Because obviously, there's a lot of people just think.
Even the biggest psychopath, if you approach them in the right manner. Quite reasonable. Like
Gary Moore.
It's like, if you actually sit the time and say, look, this is what I'll plan today, it's historical. You're not going to sit outside your door. It's like, I take your picture, the guy will write, whatever it is right. You get to look at it even and do an edit, or you can write your own story and send it in. And so once you say to them, you know, all right, well, we're either up for it. Some of them weren't up for it.
Of course. But that's building the trust, isn't it? Because obviously, what happened with Gary Moore? Because I know there's that story as well. There was
Gary Moore. That was one of the biggest. That was one of the biggest episodes ever. Because basically, I'm getting back to the old News of the World days again. They had a crime supplement, and it was decided by the heads. You know, let's do a story on Gary Moore. So when I heard that, I was like, you fucking joking? Gary Moore, you see who's going to be photographing him? Not me. Well, we want you on Gary Moore. So I had to go and meet this guy. So I'd met this guy for the first time, and I chapped his door in Gavin Hill. It was a Gavin Hill. I'm sure it was running about there. The Gorbals, Oatlands, running about there. And next thing, his girlfriend's Gary's and he's on the couch sleeping. So I've turned up and he's lying on the couch and lying in a fucking drunken, fucking drugged fucking episode, you know. And it's like. And there's bottles of vodka everywhere, and it's like, Jesus. And then Gary, that boy for the papers here, he's like, who is it? And I'm like, how you doing? Who are you? I'm like, I'm Brian, I'm here to take your picture. I went, all right, give me a minute, and he's getting himself together with more vodka and fucking. I had to take him. I think the first time, it was agreed that I would come back the next day. He should come back the next day, and you can take me and take some pictures. So I had to take him out of the Gorbals, where he murdered Jimmy Boyle's son. So that was the first set of pictures. Take him to the Gorbals, and he's there posing, brash, loving it. You know, this is where I, chipped Boyle. You know, that was the whole scenario, and they get pictures. You've probably seen that picture. He's got the black jacket. He's all dressed with the leathers on, and he's just loving it. You know, and we went for there to other places. Next thing, he's fucking. Was it me? I can't remember. I've turned up with a machine gun on him. No, it's probably me. But we've had him with guns. I've had him with guns. He did turn up with a loaded gun later on, but anyway, I think I gave him this guy's fucking turned up. So I've had him down in the Clyde side. My brother-in-law's there, John McKelvey. So he fucking, Brian, I'll come with you. You're not going yourself with him at night down in the Clyde side, you know.
end up in the Clyde.
You end up like either you or he'll be in the Clyde and you'll be fucking the blame it. So he's done. Next thing, Gary Moore's got the two guns out, shooters. You know, and he's right to the edge. And I'm thinking, Gary, fucking don't fall in there, because I'm thinking if he falls in there, I'm getting it. I'll have somebody else. And he's like that with the guns. He's going, top of the world, ma. And it was all Jimmy Cagney, you know, fucking impersonations. And I had to pull him in for the edge. You know, and it was just, and then went for there. I was with him for 3 or 4 days. This went on. And I'm having to go back and pick him up, you know, and I'm thinking, again, you know, he's lying there unconscious, you know. I have to wake him up. Who's that? it's Brian. He went, who? I'm like, I was with you last night, but the guy, right, okay, we need to go here now. And then I had to take him. I had to take him up to meet TC.
Aye.
They wanted a picture of him and TC together.
Aye.
I've still got. Have you ever seen that picture?
I think I have seen that one. I don't know. Aye.
Send you. If it's no, maybe a wee exclusive for you. I don't think anybody's seen it. And so I had the two of them together. And then that's when he tells me he says, Brian, somebody tried to shoot me up here. He says it was two English guys, and a Scottish guy.
Aye.
He says, I've turned round, I've heard this, hey, arsehole, come here. He says, he's turned round, he says, the guns are firing at him. And then he's jumped back at Thompson's place where the graveyard is. So he says, I've jumped. He says, Brian, the guns are firing. I've jumped in to get away. He says, and I've landed in the grave. He says, and as I've landed, I've cracked my skull off the side of the grave. And as I've been done, I've wiped away the leaves and I've saw my name, Moore. And that's when I thought, you need to lay off your drugs, Gary, you know. You've been watching Scrooge too much, you know. And couldn't believe it. So then somebody decided, we need a picture for the front cover now. See, they had all these great ideas. They wouldn't come and ask themselves, come with all these great ideas. Can we get a picture of Gary biting a bullet? I says, you want me to ask Gary to bite a bullet for a photograph? A guy that's a fucking homicidal maniac. He's been told by the QC has said that this guy's a complete and utter psychopath. And you want me to ask him to bite
a bullet?
I went, right, okay, I'll do it.
It just shows you how mad they are.
But the thing is, he turned up with a bullet. So I couldn't believe this scenario. So I'm phoning them, Gary. I'm in Queen Street because they had the studio in Queen Street. I'm in Queen Street. They want a picture of you with a bullet. Right, okay. I'll. Are you going to pick me up? I said, Gary, just jump a taxi. I said, meal pie with the fare at the other end. Just come in. I'll get you in George Square.
Aye.
An hour had passed and he signed a Gary. Phone goes, all right, Brian. You going to phone me a taxi? I said, I phoned you a taxi, mate. He went, taxi was there. I never got the taxi. I went, right, okay, well, I'll phone you another one, mate. And he phones back. Brian, are you picking me up? I was like, Gary, just jump a taxi, mate.
Aye.
Right, okay. 3 years has passed, there's still no sign of Gary. Editor's gone nuts, you know, because he paid for the studio and all this shit, you know. And phones again. Brian, you want me to phone a taxi? I'm like, aye. You get a taxi, Gary, just come here, George Square. And this is where it gets really dark. So he's turned up in George Square, long leather coat on, eating a fish supper. I sees him eating a fish supper. He's got a bottle of iron brew. Something around St. Nesbitt. Half bottle of iron brew, he's swagging it. And then he's eating his fish supper and he's walking along George Square. And I've turned up. I said, look, Gary, they want a picture of you with this gun.
Aye.
He went, what about the one I've got? And he's pulled a loaded Magnum out in George Square. And I was like, Gary, you better put that away, mate. There's fucking cameras. He went, no, Brian, I'm going to start shooting up the pigeons in a minute. And I said, Gary, you need to put it away, mate. It's fucking loaded. But that's when it realised to me that, wait a minute. You know that way you're walking about the city centre and you bump into somebody.
I know.
And you go, fuck's sake, what are you doing, mate? You could be bumping into him.
I know.
And he's got a loaded Magnum.
I know.
Or he's in a nightclub. You bumped into somebody in a nightclub.
I know.
And he would pull it out and shoot you.
I know.
There and then.
And
that's when I thought, you need to be careful. No matter what, kind of the penny dropped for me. Like the guys like him walking about the city. This is fucking scary. So anyway, he turns up at the studio and he's there. He's at the studio and there's all sorts of props there. We brought props. And eventually I got the picture of him. And then next thing he's pulled out the gun again and he's waving the gun about and he's yahoo and he's giving it all that fucking James Cagney stuff in the studio. He knew by this time he's pointing the gun at me or directly at me. and the picture editor's there. And he said, we need to get this gun off him. So the two of us are having to wrestle this gun off him. So we're wrestling the gun off him, the lights are getting knocked out and fuck's sake, Gary, you need to put that away. And you're just thinking, this is not how I want to be killed, you know, Gary. You know? But, I mean, that's just an unbelievable fucking that's not meant to happen to you when you go to work in the morning, you know, you're wrestling guns off a psychopath. But that's the kind of stuff that happened in there. And then Gary Moore is at the end of it, well, I'm no Gary, just get a taxi. But that time I don't want any day with him because I'm just thinking, this guy's going to end up doing something daft. Even if it's an accident,
I know.
Just shoot you. Like, what do you think of this? Bang.
It's happened, like, I know.
Get him away.
Aye.
And that was And then even when he died a violent death. There wasn't a lot in the press about
that's
that.
right, I know. Aye.
So in the end, they all die a violent death in the end, didn't they? So that was my run in McGarry, you know.
Crazy story, man. But I mean, you've obviously built up a really kind of good network of things, and you've.
Is just trust in it when you think about it, because if I was again in one part of the city with one gang and you're in there in a story or whatever it is,
aye,
and then you tell stories for there to another side,
yeah,
and then they hear you telling stories,
yeah,
and you're not going to last long, you know.
No, because there's things that go on in the city at times and stuff, and like we're talking about people that have passed away and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but there is things that I just think some of the newspapers fuel, and I think they mean it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't like it. I think it's dangerous. It's madness, man. Like when you hingy. So what would you say? Who would you say? Like, see if you had to pick, Brian, right? Like, because obviously you've been doing England and all that. And obviously we'll talk about I know you get offered like the wedding, the funeral.
The funeral, that was
the IRA, was it the IRA funeral? The only person that's
the only paramilitary in mainland Britain.
And that's a bit of a story, eh?
That's I used to get calls. Paul Massey is a big name in England, villain in England.
I know, aye.
And then when I first met Paul, I think I'd met him a couple of times, photographed him. Actually, I first met him. I was in Arthur Donnelly's yard.
Aye.
And I was saying to Arthur Donnelly's a well-respected name.
Aye,
passed, recently. And basically, I was saying to Arthur, I said, who are you looking for? Because Arthur's like, the book suit, you know, who are you looking for?
Aye.
I went, I'm trying to get Paul Massey for fucking ages. Paul Massey? How can you not get him? I says, because I've been told MI5 are on him.
Aye.
And he's just, you're not going to get him. He went, 2 seconds. He's dials. I seen him dialing, you know. 10 minutes later, Massey swings in.
That easy?
Paul, that easy. And next thing I've got pictures of Massey with Arthur, and I'm getting all these pictures, and then it went for there, and then Massey says, look, come and meet up with me, and I'll take you in and photograph some of the boys, or the Salford lads.
Aye.
So I'm like, right, okay, so now you're into the Salford lads for the QSG to Salford. So if your name's merged, you ain't getting anywhere. But what I didn't know was Paul Ferris was getting a running commentary behind the scenes. Because you all know Paul.
Paul's no daft, is he?
And I didn't know. So people think that people help you with numbers. I done it all myself.
I done it yourself.
But what did they? Paul took all the calls.
Aye.
Brian's all right.
Aye.
And I didn't know that was going on behind the scenes. A running commentary. I was like, fuck. Knew
everywhere. Some people like Paul, they just want to help you. Like they genuinely,
exactly.
they're no.
He sees you're just. I mean, I'm just a guy that's
they don't want
in the media. There's no threat to anybody. You know, I'm recording stuff for history, and the stuff that I'm recording for history is for people that's researching history in years to come.
I know.
As I say to you, criminologists buying that book.
Aye.
Maybe the books are in the libraries. That was the kind of one of the main angles behind that. So anyway, Paul's there. Oh, you know Paul? I met Paul and they knew each other, and so I went for there. So now I'm into the Salford lads, and and there was an incident before the IRA funeral. I remember outside the famous album cover with the Smiths, the Salford Lads Club. Morrissey, they were pictured outside. Well, that's exactly where they were. So they said, well, why don't we do something with the Smiths, with the album cover? That was him suggesting that, you know.
Aye.
They thought about that.
Aye,
like,
they're bringing that up.
Fucking big Smiths fans. This is where they shot. I went, that's where they shot the Smiths album cover.
Aye.
So if Morrissey's listening to this, this is an album cover ready to go, you know. So I'm thinking, fuck, if we get the real Salford lads now, you know. So anyway, the phone goes, and they're like, Brian, how do you want us at this at the Salford Lads Club? I said, well, why don't you come with the machine? I was winding them up. Why don't you become with machine guns? And I'll take a picture. And I went, right, okay, the phone goes down. And then the phone goes back again. Brian, we're not going to come with the machine guns. We've thought about it. If that other mob turns up, you're just going to open up in broad daylight. And I was like, I was only kidding you on. They went, right, okay. And so anyway, I've got pictures of the actual Salford lads.
That's class.
And they've got the balaclavas at the side. And I was like, so that was one of the photographs I got. But it was just, I got to... Any time I was in Manchester, I got to document Paul.
Aye.
So this was going on for a few years. So before I knew it, I had this body of work just based on Paul Massey.
Aye.
I could bring out, and I'm thinking of bringing out a photo book based on Paul himself. I've got that much stuff, you know. Like, and
so did you become friendly? Because obviously Paul, I know, passed away as well. But
I really liked
didn't
him.
know, and I didn't know anything about Paul. But I know who he was and stuff like that. But did you build up relationships?
I really liked Paul. You can never condone crimes and the crimes that he done for stabbing somebody. I
know. I just knew his name. You know that way.
Big name down south. But you can never condone what people do. But you can only take people how you find them.
Of course.
And to me, if they're going all right with me, then that's fine. You can never. You don't have to judge people. You know what they've done, and you don't condone it. And I can never condone crime.
Aye.
And I've said that at the start of all my books. You know.
I know.
That's just not how I'm are, you know. And basically, Paul Massey used to phone me up in the middle of the night. My phone would go at 2 a.m. You know, I thought his phone numbers on my phone. Like I'd have different nicknames for them. So I'd have the Englishman and the Hitman, and you know, my phone would go on Margaret blah. I was going to go and answer that phone, Margaret. She went, "I'm no fucking answering that." I mean, how it says the Hitman. I'm like, all these different coded names, you know, Hitman 1, Hitman 2, the Hitman 3. And so Paul would phone me up about 2 and 3 in the morning. And I would take his call, you know, and I sensed he sounded quite lonely. And he was telling me, he said, "Brian, because you're hitting him on a kind of human level."
Aye.
He knew my ma had died quite young, you know, and his ma had died. So he'd phone me up and he'd be talking about his ma, and I'd be talking about mine, and he would be like, "Yeah, that's fucking weird. He's just wanting a conversation with somebody."
Aye.
He must be big guys that he maybe can't say that to.
Definitely.
And I was like, so I found him.
It's quite a big thing that, like, see, like in prison, see if you find somebody like that you connect with and you can kind of get vulnerable with. It's hard because there's certain places you can't get vulnerable.
Bravado with people on it, they don't want to
and there's let themselves. Unless you're a psychopath or a sociopath or whatever, like most people are, I don't know, like a lot of people are kind of living that life and they don't come out of fight or flight.
Right.
So you're constantly, so they meet somebody like you who's straight peg that they can trust. You've done that work with them before, so they know they can trust you. So you're like a person on the phone that's like that gets stuff for a different angle.
It's just weird getting it with Paul.
I know.
That was a couple of times he's done that.
It must have really liked you, but
I got on really well with him. And one of the times, my mum's just died. Can you come down? You want to cover the funeral? I'm like, aye, of course. Right, okay. Comes down, and the amount of people at that funeral was unbelievable. And even all the gangs, all the black gangs for the different areas, they were all there. And they were
Moss site or the Moss site.
And they were all, I got pictures of them all in the hill looking there.
Aye.
But again, I didn't know at the time there was a truce. That day, Paul was burying his ma. And they were all looking at the funeral.
Aye.
And I was like, I captured all that, you know, and I was like, geez, look at that, look at all the gangs are all there.
Aye.
That's just and then I get pictures of Paul. I mean, people think these pictures I take, obviously, maybe despite the Mick Healy one and a few others, you know, a lot of it's you'd photograph him in their own environments, maybe in a boxing gym or a wedding, but I had Paul Massey in tears.
Aye.
He's wiping a tear away as he's carrying his ma's coffin, and he's wiping a tear. I mean, that's you're not glamorising crime in that, you know.
You're showing the human side, and that's what people need to see. I think people sometimes.
That's the kind of shots I've got. I mean, you have to get Paul Massey in tears.
Aye.
You know, he's just buried his ma here, and that's when he said, and I even get pictures that time. So everybody was there, and even Paul Ferris had turned up that day.
Aye.
So I've got the two of them at the side of the grave hugging each other.
Aye. And
you're just thinking, these pictures are unbelievable. When somebody shouts here, no, even fucking Scotland Yard, I've got these pictures, mate. And I'm like, it's just unbelievable. It's all history, innit?
Of course.
When I done that book Faces at the time, you're photographing everybody, and somebody says, Brian, do you know what? It looks as if you're cropping up everywhere in history. You're everywhere. And then when you've got all these photographs, people are getting shot. There's different things. They're all dying off. And that book will never be done again. I mean, it's just that's there to be for the rest of time. That's there, you know.
No, definitely. And I think it's like a for Britain, it's like a kind of thing of crime. Do you know what I mean? It is so unique. It's just
unbelievable. And so with Paul Massey, so that was one of the going back to your IRA thing. So he said, "Look, can you be in Sunrise? Can you be in Manchester for Sunrise?" I went, "How was happening?" He went, I've got something for your book. I went, fucking right, okay. That was the kind of things I'd done. This is interesting, you know. What the hell is this? So I turned up. It's a Greater Manchester area. It was a place called I think it was Bury.
Aye.
Bury,
aye.
Greater Manchester. So I've turned up, you know, and the Salford guys are all there, and they went, right, take you inside. I've seen the tricolours.
Aye.
The kind of floral tributes. I've seen them, and I'm like, well, this is a fucking... This is a big Irish thing, you know.
Aye.
And they take me into a wee room. Next thing, these Irish guys have come out. Fucking, I'm like, who the fuck are they, you know? And they're going, right, he says, take you into this wee room. He says, whatever you see in here, keep it away for the press.
Aye.
I went, right. I says, but what about my book? But don't mind when your book comes out, and that's 6 months down the line. I went, right, okay. Keep it out of the island. But in a heavy Irish accent, keep it out of Ireland.
Keep it out of Ireland.
And I was like, fuck, this guy's fucking terrifying, you know. And he went, and don't take pictures of the women crying.
Aye.
Because that's a big thing. I went, right, all right. And I was like, what the? And I gets taken out of this room, and this guy's lying in a coffin. And he's lying in a coffin, he's got the IRA thing, volunteer.
Aye.
That's lying with him with beads in. And I'm thinking, holy shit. You know, and then he's like, and then the guys at the side, they're all getting ballied up, you know.
Aye.
And I'm like, quick one to put the ballies on. Fuck, did I just take that? Shit. Hope we didn't see me, a wee sneaky one, so I knew who they were, you know. And then one of them was Paul, and I'm Massey, and I'm like, is that you, Paul? I went, somebody shouted, just take your fucking picture there, wee man. And I'm like, right, okay. So I've jumped on the couch. I'm shitting it because it's like, this is fucking terrifying, you know. This is a fucking IRA funeral. So I've tilted the camera down so I can see the guy.
Aye.
And there's a guy called Tiny Donaghy, who was a full IRA member.
Aye.
And he got convicted or suspecting of killing soldiers back in the Troubles.
Right. Did he get in the Good Friday?
So he fled Ireland.
Aye.
He fled Ireland and he's ended up in Salford with these Salford guys.
Aye.
Now, you know, when I phoned Bernard O'Mahony, he says, Brian, this is the only IRA funeral in mainland Britain ever seen.
Aye.
You've got it. I'm like, shit. He says, everybody knows that gangsters or gangland, the world of goes hand in hand with paramilitaries.
Yeah.
But here's the fucking truth.
Yeah. The evidence.
It's here. You've done it. I'm like, shit, all right. So then we goes for there. I've got to take pictures. Then they've got they're walking the coffin in the streets. So they get the tricolour through the streets.
Aye.
And then guys are all clavered up.
Aye.
You're just thinking, this isn't broad daylight. You know, and then they go up to the side of the grave. So I'm up at the side of the grave now, and then it's like, so the guys with the balaclavas are watching me, you know, but I didn't know they're watching me, so I don't miss anything.
Aye.
So I'm like, right, okay. So the next thing, somebody's matched up, volley of shots, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, the bullets whizzing. Aye. So I've had a deck, because it's I've never heard fucking something happen like that. And I've had a deck thinking somebody's fucking opening up here, you know, and I couldn't believe it. And I've turned around, I've kind of half-got it.
Aye.
I've half-got the pitch, I've half missed it.
Aye.
And I've turned around, all the guys are all ballied up. I went, I fucking missed that picture there. Gonna go and do it again. And they've all went, can he? Can I do it again? We'll do something at the end. I went, that's why we were following you, Brian. We didn't, but somebody should have told me.
Aye.
They didn't get me ready for it.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have got the full shot.
Aye.
And then what they do is they throw the gun in the coffin, and then somebody else walks up with the dirt,
Aye.
and then throws the dirt at it. And apparently that's how in Ireland, where they could never find the guns because the cops were always looking at the guns, they throw it, and then they throw the dirt at it. You can't see. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then at the end, we're posing at the end, and it was just.
It's all history because obviously that Harry, I mean, I know there's still like, but they're no, it's no like what it was back then. Do you know what I mean? It's no like.
Well, I grew up watching seeing all the photographs in the press for Pacemaker or the when the IRA would tip certain photographers, and the UDA or UVF, they would tip certain photographers. Well, I was getting the tips by everybody. You know, I was getting all like UDA or UFF. I was getting tips. Come to this funeral and record this funeral and I could send the pictures back to Ireland. So the Irish press, I was stopping the Irish press for coming out because they said, we're only letting Brian. It was Johnny Adair's, was it Adair's boy? It was Johnny Adair's boy.
Aye.
And he says, look, we want you to photograph the funeral.
Aye.
So all these UDA commanders have come here. And I'm sitting in them and I'm shitting myself to go forward because you don't want to
No, I know,
They're like that to me. did you get the red hand of Ulster? I went, aye. He went, you can't really see it for there. I pushing you right in.
Aye.
And I'm pushing you right in, and so I got all that as well, and I'm getting it for both sides, you know.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because obviously you're seeing it and you're trusted in both worlds. I mean, there's not many people that you're not trusted in both worlds. Do you know that way you're not taking
I never took sides. I wasn't that kind of guy that would take sides.
Aye. You're just there to, as you say,
don't judge anybody, don't take sides, and you're going to get access.
Of course.
You know?
But, so Bernard Mahoney, what happened to that? I know like there was a wee bits and bobs. Is that...
we've done the Faces book, which ended up an amazing book.
Aye.
And that there was a spin-off, and basically we ended up on the TV programme, which is Faces of the Underworld, which they used all my photographs to basically promote that book as well. So they were all used in that. That ended up on Netflix or something like that.
I think you can still, I'm sure Prime.
The Yesterday channel ended up quite a big series.
I've watched it. I'm sure it's still on Prime. I'm sure I've seen it.
And then there was a second series as well.
Aye.
We just ended up, we just went on to do other things, and I went on to do my stuff. And
I know it just sometimes fizzles out, just relationships fizzles out, eh? So, I mean, is there any kind of things, I mean, we've covered a lot, like, is there anything that you can think of that I've know that you would maybe like I know you've got the Tyson Fury story as well.
The Tyson Fury story is a good one because I'm in Manchester. I'm back in the Sinister, yard.
Aye.
You know, the Quality Street Sinister yard, you know.
Aye.
Sitting there with all the old Quality Street guys.
Aye.
And these are the guys you go to watch it for, because these are the guys with the string vests and sitting there pulling all this, got all the contacts, and these are the guys. If these guys in that world could live to that age, it tells you they're fucking switched on, doesn't it?
Definitely.
So I'm sitting there, and so Arthur, I became really close to Arthur because I liked Arthur, and Arthur would always help you, you know.
Aye.
Oh, Brian, remember the time we'd done this fucking bank raid, you know, and you're like, Arthur, don't tell, I don't want to know. You know, and Jimmy the Weed, have you heard of Jimmy the Weed?
I've heard of that.
Jimmy the Weed Donnelly. So Thin Lizzy's wrote a song called The Boys Are Back in Town.
Aye, the boys.
That's based on them.
Is it? Aye.
Jimmy the Weed and Donnelly, Arthur Donnelly's and all that lot. So if you got a song based about their life, you know, the boys are back in town.
Aye.
So I'm sitting with all these guys, you know.
Aye.
And so Arthur's like that. Brian, somebody get me a pen, you know. So Arthur's like that with a pen. And he's drawn this diagram about this bank raid. And the Weed's watching him like that. Arthur, what you doing? I'm showing Brian how we get into this fucking rock. Arthur, you're fucking grassing us up. You're grassing us up, Arthur. So the Weeds grabbed the map and set it alight. So he set it alight. And it's like, it's just funny situations like that with them, you know. But they were the real deal back in the 60s. And
but it must have been, like, as I say, it's like, it's amazing you build up that kind of rapport.
It's incredible. I was trying to get to Jimmy Swords, who was the real powerhouse behind the Quality Street. I never got to Swords.
Again, only know the name. Like
Jimmy Swords was a part of it. He was like the main man, you know. But again, it was on the cards, and then Jimmy died, and I thought, fuck with that, I'm not going to get, because I says, look.
Was there a difference between like when you were going to like Manchester, London, and did you have like a better relationship with like the Manchester? But certain people. Did you go?
But I got on well with Vic Darksey in London.
I
got on well
Vic
with Foreman as well. I got on well with Massey, Quality Street Boys, Peter Fury, all these kind of guys.
What was Foreman like? Because obviously he's.
Well, I'll tell you the boxing one first. So the
Fury
one that we're going to Foreman is you get into London then. So basically, Arthur's like that, right? Okay. I say to give Arthur a few names that I'm looking for. Peter Fury and Peter Fury. No, I think it was Arthur suggested Peter Fury.
So
Peter Fury was a bit of a hard man back in Manchester, round about in Stockport, round about them days, but they were a big name, you know. And then he became a famous boxing trainer, didn't he? Trained Tyson. He was trained Tyson Fury, his uncle, So basically, so Arthur says, phone Peter Fury. I'd never met Peter. So Fury's on the phone. Yeah, how you doing, Brian? Can see what you're doing about the book, you know. These guys have all done their sentences now, so they've got nothing to hide now, you know. They're coming
they're betting their life,
pegs, you know, what do you call them that? And basically, really nice guy, really respectable guy, you know. Basically said, come to Manchester Airport. So I said, and you can photograph me. And I thought, fuck, it's another good one. Not a big name, Peter Fury. And I'd never heard of Tyson Fury or any of these people, you know. This is going back 2007, 6. Nearly fucking 20 years ago.
I see he'd have been kind of just starting out.
He's young,
aye.
But he was there that day. This is what I'm saying. So, so he's there. John Fury's there. Tyson Fury's there. And I'm thinking somebody else is there. And then next thing, Aaron Coughlin comes in.
Aye.
So he's come in, the Teflon Don, they call him. So they're all there, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are these lot? This lot, you know?
Aye.
So this is my boy Tyson. Can you take a picture of Tyson? Because he wants to get a bit of publicity. And I thought, I will put Tyson in the book. Thinking, who's he, you know?
Aye. And then
Tyson's then telling me he's going to be the fucking... He's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And I looked in his eyes and I thought, somehow I believe you, mate.
Aye.
I fucking believe what you're saying.
Aye.
Sure enough, it becomes the fucking...
Aye,
one of the biggest names in the history of boxing.
Aye.
So they invite me down to Bethnal Green.
Aye.
So now I'm in London doing stuff. Like I was in London quite a lot. So I'm in London and basically I'll give you a wee exclusive. I had a bit of a run-in with John Fury.
Aye.
I had a bit of a run-in with him.
But I mean,
I got all right with him, but I had a bit of a run-in with that. Because what happened is I turned up, because they said, come down. Peter said, come down, and we'll give you access to Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
This is him on the road to become the heavyweight champion of the world.
Aye.
And I've got access when he's young.
Aye.
And I'm in there, fucking think, and I'm getting pictures of Tyson Fury getting bandaged up with John Fury and Peter Fury and historical stuff.
Definitely.
I didn't know I'm recording history and I don't even know
Muhammad Ali, you know, like it's mad because you've went for one, like another, like
Tyson as well. The first real
Mike Tyson.
I don't know. I running with him, fighting with him.
Did you?
That was key. I'll tell you that if you want. So basically, so I've got these pictures, but when I turned up, I drove 10 hours to get there, and the lassie's like, "Sorry, your name's not on the list." I said, "I've just came all the way down from Scotland." She went, it was her attitude. She went, "I don't care if your name's on the list, you're not getting in." I says, "Look, is there any chance you could speak to Peter Fury?" I says, "Because I'm supposed to be on the list. I've come all the way down from Scotland." She went, "I've just told you you're not getting in." I says, "Look, you better get one of the fucking Furies out here. I'm starting to get angry now." I says, I'll fucking that. I'll be in that ring fighting with somebody. That's how angry I was. I'm not leaving until I start fighting with somebody or something, you know. Drive 10 hours for a fucking... get told. Next thing, John Fury's came out. "Oh, what's this? I hear you've got an attitude." I said, "I've not got an attitude, John." I said, "The lassie's telling me I'm not getting in." They went, "Fuck, see, this is my son's big fight, you know, and you're causing grief at the door." I said, "I'm not causing grief at the door," you know. And then he gave me the pass and let me in. I wasn't letting that go.
No, of course.
Drive 10 hours to be told not to get in.
I
would have went nuts. They never let me in. I would have caused a bigger scene than what I did.
You're quite right.
Well
within your rights. No.
I wasn't giving a shit.
Bo Bryan.
Honestly, I wasn't caring. See, when I get angry that way, you're like, I'm not taking that shit off anybody.
So did you get in? But
I eventually got in. Great pictures of Tyson knocking the guy out.
I think I've seen one. Is it one of the guy? Is it one of them go? Did one of them go kind of black and white?
One's black and white. You see him ready to hit the kids. I've seen for Rocky with great pictures.
I think I've seen that.
One of them's going to be for sale on the thing I'm trying to put out at the minute when I'm selling them. I've got literally thousands of pictures. Sometimes I've got so much on the go that you can't focus on one thing. And sometimes that can hold you back, you know, because you go to focus.
You're better hyper focusing on one thing and then like getting it done. Because I'm the same, mate. I've got like so many all over the place. I've got that many things. You've got trying to keep everything spinning too many plates.
Oh, it's a nightmare. But that was and then going back again, looking back. I've met him a couple of times since then. The time I was with Scott Peden on we turned up at the Pavilion. I was backstage again, and Scott went up to sing American Pie. I don't know, did he mention that in his podcast?
No, but he was...
Two of them were singing.
Aye.
Couldn't believe he's singing with the heavyweight champion of the world.
I did mention it, he did, aye.
Just great access. And I got on all right. He's done really well, Tyson, and he does well for
he talks a lot about mental health. He does. He's a big advocate for that.
It was great, but when I met the actual Mike Tyson, this was going back, what year was that? When he fought Savarese at Hampden. I don't know what year it was. So he'd arrived. I'm at the press conference. So again, the world's media's there, and there's thousands of people there. It was big. All the sports guys are all there, all over the world. And I'm thinking, I ain't getting a photograph in the press unless something fucking happens here, you know. Sometimes you've got to create
aye.
throw a bottle into the crowd to start a fight and get the picture, that type of scenario. Not that I've done that. And basically he's what happened was Tyson's came out, he's came out, and I've tried to get fucking pictures of him.
Aye.
And I've been a bit, because they've been heavy, I've been heavy.
Aye.
And then it's just ended up in a bit of a fucking fight, basically with security. I used to always fight with security.
Aye.
So I'm not letting it go. Next thing they've grabbed me and they've pinned me up against the wall.
Aye.
And I managed to get, he's screaming about fucking, whatever he's screaming, I managed to get a picture of it. And it's made the Star and a few other newspapers. So if I wasn't that aggressive, I wouldn't have got that picture, you know, and I wouldn't have been paid money, you know.
I think you're just learning you've learned your trade,
so anyway,
that.
So I'm back at the Hilton that night because he's staying at the Hilton.
Aye.
So I'm at the Hilton. Staying at another wee photographer. We're sitting there waiting to snap him again, you know, sitting there undercover.
Aye.
Next thing all your security's all around me. And they came out and went, "Are you the guy we had fucking trouble with today?" I went, "Was that me?" He went, "Aye, did you go and tell us to go fuck ourselves?" I went, "Aye, that was me. How? Did you not go and fuck yourself, you know?" Next thing, they've grabbed us again, put me outside the front door, and they've dicked my wallet.
Oh, did they?
They've dicked my wallet, and they've taken all the fucking ID, just to fucking find out who you are.
Fuck's sake.
And I can't remember if I got pictures of Tyson that night or no. But no, I think I maybe did got him.
So was there times when
he had a lot of heavy people on him, man.
Was there times when like you were like maybe, I mean, I don't want you to mention names or anything, but was there anything like when you were kind of feared, when you were like, oh, like, nah, or have you just went fuck it? Like,
no, because I was so focused on getting the picture that I was prepared to just. You've got this anger fucking thing in you that if anybody tries to, I blow up 10 times.
Aye.
Like fuck, you start fucking raging. You get into a rage, and I always had that in me.
Aye.
This is why I never went to. I didn't want to go to London.
Aye.
I got offered a job in New York with a company called Big Pictures.
Aye.
So they'd heard about all the stuff that I was doing. He says, "Could you come out to New York, and we want you to go and hunt down all the celebrities, Malibu and all that." It'd been right up my street, you know.
Aye.
But I didn't want to leave Margaret. And I had to have left her, and I just thought
I started a new life doing that.
I thought that's it's okay for a single guy.
Aye.
So I thought, nah, it's not for me. And then London, I thought, thinking about it, if I go to London, I'm just going to get jailed up, because I was 10 times more. I don't know where it comes from. I was just 10 times more aggressive than any other photographer.
Aye.
It was just that, and that led me to get all these photographs. See all these front pages. Now, if I never had that aggression, I wouldn't have got.
There's probably a few of you, Brian, if you know like other ways, like you probably know them. You probably know other photographers who are willing to get that.
They'll go to a certain level, but I always went further.
Aye.
And that's what I thought. That's a bit scary where I can go, you know. And you're just out of control, you know. Because
there's times, I mean, obviously you could put in motors there with hoods out your head and all that, and drove to places and all that. It's
just all my. But when I tell all these in my book, when I tell the book that's coming out, I can put all these stories in it.
Aye.
And it is a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, even back with the tabloids, I mean, they had you out there raking through. It's all true, raking through people's bins and to find out what they were eating and find out who they were communicating with.
Aye.
That all happened. You know, we were in the front line today. A lot of it.
I know.
I'm embarrassed to say, you know.
No, but it's history, and you're not proud of it. It's like it's probably like, look, it's like a crime. It's like crime, isn't it? You've got guys like Paul Ferris and that went straight and stuff. They're probably not proud of a lot of the things they've done. It's like the exact same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Think about it,
when you're younger, you maybe do things you go, what?
I mean, I was working for that was the biggest newspaper in the world.
Oh.
On the planet at that time, the News of the World.
Was Piers Morgan?
And it was hated.
Did you ever?
He was the youngest ever editor.
What was he like?
That was before my time.
Was it?
Because he was a Mirror. He was a Mirror editor. The guy that was the editor, the overall, was Bob Bird up here. Bob Bird, Scotland, who was a number 2 in London. Bob was a nice editor, good editor. Not like the Spider-Man editor. You'd think he's more laid back, you know.
Aye.
There's a few kind of Spider-Man editors, you know. You've seen them with braces and the cigar and crap. Get me a picture of Spider-Man, you know. How the fuck are you going to get Spider-Man? You know? And if had a few years, but down in London, you'd Rebecca Wade.
Aye.
She's a current son.
Aye.
Editor. And you'd Andy Coulston.
Know the name.
Coulston get jailed for the phone hacking. Jailed,
that's right.
So I remember at a wee insight into the News of the World days, I remember Christmas party sitting beside Rebecca Wade.
Aye.
And Andy Coulston, and this is before all the phone hacking.
Aye.
And Coulston's giving me all the tips.
Aye.
Because he was a showbiz guy, Coulston, at one point.
Aye, so he didn't know all the celebs now.
So he then became number 2 to the Prime Minister. The communications.
That's right, so he did.
He went right high up, you know.
So he did, aye.
So I remember fucking that. We're really taking in all our tips. I have to say, I'm like, right, okay. So going all right with them that night. Obviously they're there, but then I didn't know then. Obviously later on they'd become really big in that whole case, you know. The phone hacking, as I say, everything was all. I mean, it could have been up here, but it was all down south, wasn't it? It was all the big London celebrity cases and stuff, you know. That was a bit of a time, you know, the News of the World. It was looking back.
So see, like, I know obviously you've got a lot going on, and we could probably do a part 2, Brian, at some point. I would be up for it. I would be up for doing a part 2 because we're going to need to kind of shut it up, the podcast now. But
do you want the Foreman story just now?
Geez, Freddie Foreman, because I definitely, geez, the Freddie Foreman story.
So Fred, I've met Fred loads of times, and Fred was one of the names I thought, fuck, I need to get Fred, because Fred is basically, if you get Fred, everybody else will get in the line, you know?
Aye.
Because he's kind of well respected.
Mr. London, isn't he? Like,
he's behind all. Somebody said to me, Brian, he's behind every fucking major crime in the last 50 years in London. He says his fingerprints are everything.
Aye.
And I always remember the Long Good Friday, have you seen it?
Aye.
Which was based in Foreman.
Aye.
And when I mentioned that, he said, yeah, that's right, that's about me. I'm going, fuck, modest there. So I remember, anyway, I'm on the phone to Fred, and he's like that, who are you? I say, I'm doing a book called Faces, Fred. I'm a Scottish photographer. I went, all right. He says, well, what you need to do is you need to phone me back, come do me throw some eckies about expenses, pick me up the limousine and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, right, okay, Fred, thanks. You know, and I'm thinking, he thinks I've got money.
Aye.
So I phoned him back. I said, Fred, I haven't got any money, mate. He says, this isn't a big production company. It's just me. I'm sitting here with a car with fuel in it. That's it. He went, right, okay, Langham's Restaurant, 8 o'clock this Saturday. And I'm thinking, right, okay, phone down. I'm like, fucking hell, it's a Godfather. Slammed the phone down on me. So I guess away down. So I go to Langham's Restaurant, I'm there. Got loads of forms and stuff. I'll just tell you this one, right? So I'm sitting there 10 minutes later, there's no sign of Fred. And I'm like, shit. Where the hell's Fred, you know? Fucking like 20 minutes, no sign of Fred. Like the guy on the door. Like, I'm waiting and Freddie Foreman. He went, Foreman? He went, you went to Foreman? He says, no one here. He says, have you got the right restaurant? He says, you know there's 2 Langham restaurants? And I went, shit, there's 2. So the other one's in Mayfair.
The better one.
So I'm late now. So 20 minutes is half past. I've jumped in a taxi. I'm now thinking, I'm half an hour late. That's fucking, what's he going to think? You know? Walks in, Fred's fucking sitting there with a steak, you know. It's like a fucking scene for the fucking Godfather, you know. Surrounded with people even at that age, you know, in his 70s or late 70s, mid 70s. He went, didn't even look up, he went, you're fucking late, mate. And I'm like, Fred, I didn't even know there was 2 Langham's restaurants, you might have told me, you know, blaming him, you know. He went, all right, okay. And then he came out, and then I guess to take his picture, you know. And he's fine, he was fine with me. And he says, look, come to the Mayfair. So come to the Punch Bowl in Mayfair in the morning, and I'll get you breakfast. Oh, all right, okay. So I can get more pictures. Turns up, fucking Fred's there in the Mayfair. So this is in Mayfair. So this is a Punch Bowl. So Fred used to own the Punch Bowl.
Right.
And Guy Ritchie owned it. Guy Ritchie owned it.
Right.
So I'm right in the heart of Snatchland now. So Fred's like, I see, ever seen talking about Long Good Friday? I went, Fred, I want to make a picture of you next to the bridge. London Bridge, Tower Bridge. He went, all right, let's do it then. Jumps in the taxi, gets away out of there, takes a picture of Fred. Backdrop of London. Have you seen that picture?
I've seen that at all,
And I thought, Fred's like, right, okay, and that was it. Taxi driver's like, is that Fred Foreman? He's got his pictures taken with Fred. And to this day, he's got that picture framed, because apparently that's his favourite photograph.
Is it?
So I'm like, holy shit, you know. He's been photographed with David Bailey.
Aye.
And the picture he likes.
He must have been photographed a million times, man.
Well, he's photographed with Bailey. Bailey photographed him, and Fred said that was his favourite picture.
Because it would just I can imagine it. I know a guy for Black Hill.
He's got it framed above his fucking bed, you know.
Brilliant.
But on the next part, I'll tell you the story with the gold bullion, and that's another tale, you know, which is.
Listen, Brian, honestly, I've been fascinated listening to it. Like, I've not spoke much today, but that's probably maybe.
Is that a first, is it?
Aye, it's a first thing. No much Sean. No much Sean the day. Listen, it's been absolutely fascinating. But is there anything you want to promote the new? Like, obviously, I know you've got your clothes wear and you've got
we've got the book, Shooting the Mob, which is currently on Amazon. You'll go to Shoot the Mob.
This has got all these stories, like, you know, and much more.
It's got a lot of stories in it about just meeting a lot of these characters, and it's done in the style of dark humour.
Aye,
it's quite funny, you know, when they're telling the story.
I can imagine.
And I've got Gallus Collective, which is it's a wee clothing thing I'm trying to build up in a minute. I've got a couple of people interested in a few meetings and stuff. Hopefully I can take that somewhere.
Aye.
And then I've got the
naked. That's your hat. You've got the brand on.
Aye, I've got that ready.
You've got the brand on ready to drop.
Advertising. And then I've got the Naked City, which is a publication I'm building up. It's the old Glasgow Eyes, which I used to run.
Aye.
Which has been running since 2014. So I've got the audience there.
Yeah.
I've just made it a wee bit more edgier and a wee bit UK kind of content running through it. So there's that as well. So a few things in the pipeline.
What about social media and anything like that? Like, where can people get
Naked
you on
City is on. It's if you type in the Naked City, that all comes up, and then that'll link you to other things that I'm working on, you know. Brian,
all I can say is I'm trying to think like if there's anything else, but I don't. The only last thing I would maybe say is see anybody that's maybe up, a young photographer that's maybe watching this, or somebody that would maybe like to get into photography. What would you say? What would you say? Like, what would your message be? Like, what would your message of kind of?
Just I keep being enthusiastic. Just keep taking photographs. Obviously, the landscape's changed now. You kind of need to do a lot of things yourself, but just keep. You've got to just keep taking pictures non-stop and just kind of learning your trade. And if you've got the hunger, and you know that will get you through. Just keep hungry and keep. Depending on where you want to go, whether it's press or weddings or. Just keep at it, because as I say, there's room for everybody, really, isn't there?
Of course.
You start becoming, you'll start becoming really confident and about finding your own kind of niche or space or whatever. Just keep taking pictures.
Brilliant, Brian. Thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Best,
brilliant. Cheers.